Yo, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, another episode of Caffeine and Green with your man, Quantal Langford. And before we get into it today, I just want to give a huge shout out to the title sponsor of Caffeine and Green, which is 7 Seas Roasting Company, coming straight out of San Diego, California. My home roaster, and most of the time where you'll find me during the week. Now, what's so great about 7 Seas Roasting is that we're doing things a little bit different in specialty coffee. We're working with coffee farmers in villages in Laos and Vietnam, and we're bringing those coffees to life. But along with that, we're also showcasing other amazing coffees, Colombia's, Ethiopians, Guatemala's, Mexican coffees, which is coming down the pipe, so get ready, y'all. Now, full transparency, I am the head roaster at 7 Seas, as most of you know. But regardless, I think by now y'all know that I'm giving you straight fire with that coffee. So what I want you to do is head over to 7seasroasting.com, put in my code C&G at checkout, and you're going to get a deal, which is 3 bags of coffee for $30. I mean, that's a no-brainer if you really think about it, because 2 bags is $32 right there. So you're essentially getting 1 bag of coffee for free. It's a no-brainer, like I said. Now, right now, we have the El Jaguar, which is amazing. It's chocolate. It's nutty. It has a little bit of orange zest up front. We also have an array of new Lao coffees. The Katuat Village, we have the Phodom Quan, and we also have the classic Setapung. Now, we also have some other things coming down the pipe, again, like I mentioned, so be ready, but that's what you have to choose for, and we have amazing, they're amazing coffees. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and again, use that code C&G at checkout. That's CANDG, and you're going to get that deal 3 for $30. Now, unfortunately, the charity coffees, which is the Kaha Collective and the Spikes Roast, don't come in this deal. But you still have so many coffees to choose from, it's all G. So head over, guys, C&G at checkout to get that deal. My guest today is an amazing individual, a very complex individual and a creative type. His name is Mr. Quantal Langford. He's coming straight out of Cleveland, Tennessee. He lives here in Oceanside, or in San Diego County, which is, in Oceanside to be specific. Either way, Quantal is something of an enigma, I feel like, or you could call him like an onion. There's so many layers because, I mean, amongst being a former Division I wrestling champion, he does jiu-jitsu, he creates, he draws amazing. He's working on his own comic book. He does a bunch of he does so many things. And then on top of that, he has a lot of complex thought and just interesting insights about life. I really enjoyed this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And without further ado, Quantal Langford. Quantal Langford. My bad. This is your time to shine, homie. Let's go. Give me caffeine and green. It's your boy Connor. What's good? Good. Caffeine and green. And we are live. Quantal Langford.
How's it going?
Welcome to Caffeine and Green, sir. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Boom. Oh yeah, that's way good. Yes, sir. This has been a long time in the making.
Yes, it has.
We've been going back and forth, and we finally made it happen. It is that amazing day. It's today, and I want to just get right into it and tell the people like how I actually met you. I was explaining to somebody how we met, how you do these coffee cups and you freehand draw them.
Yeah.
And you put superheroes on them, if you will.
Yeah.
And you did like an Instagram contest or something like that, and we ended up winning. And you came into the shop to drop it off. Like, 7 Seas, you guys win the cup, and you brought it in. It's still in the shop. It's still up on the thing. Somebody was like, "Hey, what's up with that cup? Can we like take that down?" I'm like, "No, you leave that there." I was like, "It's the homie Quantal. He made that for us." I was like, "It's fucking tight." But tell me a little bit about that. Why the coffee cups? Why the art that you're doing on them?
Honestly, I think it was just a natural evolution. You know, it's one of those, I've always, honestly, I mean, for me personally, I've always been a sci-fi nerd, comic book nerd. And so I always had a love for comic books. And especially I was starting the podcast and just being around coffee shops. The owner up there actually gave me like a whole stack of just blank coffee cups. He's like, you can use them however you want to. So I was like, well, okay. I was like, I'll figure out, something to do with them. And, professionally for me, I've always, I've been in graphic design. So I've always, I'm always on the computer and things like that. So, designing, logos and graphics for different clients. And, I think for the cups, I was like, well, let me try out, one of the cups. I had some spare time. I was like, I'll draw something on the cup, just to, a lot of times I'll get away from the computer and, just to decompress and go to, I might sketch or, write or something like that. And, just start sketching around on one of the cups, and I'm like, hey, that don't look too bad. My first one, it was honestly, I thought it was ugly, but and then I started, really getting the feel of it, and then that was when I drew the Batman one. I was like, well, let me, just post it out and see who might want it. I was like, my initial idea was to, do, because I've got like a whole stack of like blank cups, and my goal was to do artwork on all of them and, maybe either sell them or give them out to a random coffee shop. So I definitely, and that's something I'm always, saying on my podcast. I definitely, I'm an advocate for a lot of the local coffee shops and a lot of local businesses, and definitely want to see everybody support it. So I was like, well, let me do some coffee cup artwork and just give it out to a random coffee shop. And so happens it was y'all won, and I think honestly I think that's the power of social media.
Yep.
And that's something that for whatever some people say it's a con, and I don't think so. It's just one of those where I think if you use it the right way, you can connect so much quicker and connect on a wider scale. And so that was how I was able to connect with y'all, and how now we're on this podcast episode. So.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting how social media connected us just through that contest, and then I ended up meeting you. And I was actually, one thing I didn't even remember till I brought it up, it was in the last couple of days, was you were wearing a Golden State Warriors hat or sweater. One of the two.
No, I got a hat, yeah.
It's a hat. And that's why I was like, oh, I'll definitely talk to this guy. That's super sick. Now, you also mentioned in about your art and the coffee cups that you have your own podcast, which is another reason I wanted to have you on.
Yeah. Yep. The Creative Brew podcast. And I film up there in Oceanside at Panels Coffee and Comics. And they, like I said, they've been a great
Coffee and Comics?
Yeah. So
Wow.
It's a coffee bar and comic book shop. So if you're not a fan of comics, you can go in there and get a coffee. If you don't know, as far as if you're not a fan of coffee, you can come in there and grab a comic book. They usually have a lot of people hanging out and things like that. So definitely they generally have a lot of artists up there. Just working on stuff. I'm normally up there. If I'm not working at home, I generally go up there and I may sketch and draw and things like that, or do some work up there. But they've been a great partner for me. So been doing the podcast up there. And it's been good. So
and they encourage that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's tight.
So it's one of those to where, like, when I come in, I was like, hey, I got a podcast, and can you turn down or cut off the music? They'll cut it off. And so at first I couldn't do that, but we've developed that relationship over the course of a year to, like, whenever I come in, if I'm bringing a guest in, they'll usually accommodate me. And and I'm always giving shout outs on the podcast and helping promote them. And I think it's been a great partnership.
That's pretty rad, dude. The fact that they back you that hard and give you a space, they let you use their space.
Yeah.
Now you also film the podcast as well, correct?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. So I do the filming, and then, like I said, obviously the audio. But depending on really my time, sometimes I'll just do an audio podcast and I'll talk about a certain subject. Or I'll bring in a guest, and then I'll do the video and then the audio, and then I'll clip parts out. And so it might be little segments in the show about a creative tip. So usually my guest I give out a creative tip for the audience, and then what their ideal creative life would be. If they had a perfect 24 hours and they had the right mix of work and play, what would they be doing? Ooh, and
That's a good question.
So yeah, so a lot of them they love answering that. So I'll trim out little clips from that and then
Sick.
post it out. But yeah, it it can be a lot of work, especially while I'm doing my design work and working on the clothing brand and things like that. So it can be a little hectic at times.
So is that your clothing brand right there that you're wearing?
Yeah.
That shirt.
Yep. Just Heart Apparel.
What is it called?
Just Heart
Just
Apparel.
Heart? Okay.
Yeah. So something I actually I started about maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, and it was actually the basis for it was actually something that had happened in college. Low point in college. Actually, I wrestled in college, and it was just I think it was just a low point. While I was there, and I think something that I think sort of helped me, and I used it as the basis for the clothing line, and just developed a lot of different designs over the years, and so it's still, like I said, it's still picking up steam. Definitely not where I want it to be at, but like I said, I'm patient, and I'm looking for the long game. I'm not trying to do a sprint. I'll build the brand, piece by piece if I need to. And, but yeah, I think a lot of people attach to it, emotionally. And so, yeah, it's a lot of, like I said, it's a whole different monster. So it's really starting to grow, but
you do a lot of things, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those where, I'm real big on a morning routine. And, I get up pretty early in the morning and I've got a little ritual that I do just to get myself going for the day, and it's one of those to where if I didn't do that, I'd probably drive myself crazy.
For real.
Yeah.
Well, I see that was the other thing. Another thing that I saw that you do, because it took us so long to get the show together.
Yeah.
I was able to see your Insta and really see who you are and stuff. And I mean, dude, you're doing the wrestling, you do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And on top of all your design things. And that's another reason I wanted to have you on the show. Because, bro, I fucking love MMA, period. And then, I mean, and we've, obviously over the past couple months, we've DM'd each other, especially when fights are coming up.
Yeah.
Or, you always see me watching fights, when I post, the big ones that I care about. So, I mean, how does that all tie in together? I mean...
I think it's one of those, I think it's still really an evolution. I'm my big thing, and it's something that I'm always sort of contemplating, personally, is okay, how do I and actually something that I try to teach others on the podcast. How can you get all your passions and likes and things like that, and how could you really just package it into something that that you enjoy and something that could sustain you, your family, things like that. So I'm always interested in how can I sort of concoct all the things that I like to do and sort of mush it together into one one package. But I think I've always been wrestling, coached wrestling in high school and college, competed Division I, and
oh shit.
Yeah,
who?
So I'm actually from Tennessee, so I wrestled at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
Oh,
and
what?
I was a conference champ. Went to the D1 national championships. Competed there.
Dude, that's fucking badass.
So
man.
it's so did that. Coached some college for a couple of years, and a little bit of high school. But it's just one of those where I actually trained for an MMA fight some years ago, probably about 5-6 years ago, and something like I said, the guy backed out. And I think after that, I was like, nah, I'll just help people. It's just too much time involved. But you never know. I mean, if I took that fight and I happened to win, I probably could have just went on from there. But I think it's one of those little happy coincidences, because if I, with me not being able to compete, I think it sort of pushed me to sort of help and develop more athletes and more people. And so that's what I'm doing now, especially here, for some odd reason, I find myself coaching or teaching somewhere. So, me and my wife, we moved here about 5 years ago, and I found a gym in Oceanside. And at first I just came in just to work out. It was a wrestling class. I just wanted to work out. And I end up, taking over the class and coaching now. So, I usually train a lot of MMA fighters in the area and help them out. And but yeah, I usually go to other gyms and work out, not doing jiu-jitsu, doing wrestling. And yeah, I think it just helps me. It keeps me in shape, and keeps my energy level going, because usually I can be all over the place. And but yeah, it just helps me to connect with others. And I think in that aspect, with all the other things that I'm doing, I just feel like I'm a natural connector. I like being able to connect, with people of all walks of life. So
Yeah, I mean, also at the same time though, when you're as deep in wrestling as you are, and then I'm assuming you're probably very good at jiu-jitsu as well.
I'm all right.
You're all right. But I mean, I feel like you're very, what that says to me about your brain is that you're very like strategic. I feel like you're like very, calculated. That's probably a better word.
Yeah.
Because like if you, to do wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you have to be able to like be creative like you are, but then also think on your feet to like maneuver fast enough and to outthink another person, be very strategic and calculated. So it's like, ooh, dude, you got a brain on you, bro.
Yeah, that's what I think it's helped me out just in the entrepreneurial life. It's just helped me to be able to, and I'm always on my feet. There's things that happen, a lot of moving pieces. Something may happen with an order, or something may happen with a client to where I've got to figure out a way to fix it. You get resourceful, you adapt quickly. I think all that, especially mixing between jiu-jitsu and wrestling, it's helped me out to just you gotta have your ups and downs. That's just part of life. But can you sort of flow and roll through it and just be consistent? That's what I'm striving for. I know bad things that happen. I know great things that happen. But my big goal is just staying consistent and just sort of flowing with life. So
yeah, I like that. That's badass. So why move to California?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where honestly, I think I was fighting to stay in Tennessee. My wife, she lived in Oceanside for some years, and I actually met her in Tennessee, and we started dating and stuff. And like, she always told me about Oceanside, about California. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, I'm never moving. And things happen, life happens. I've got two sons. Stepsons. It's my wife's kids from a previous marriage. But I call them my sons. I don't call them stepsons. But, but yeah, one plays. He actually, the youngest one, he actually plays basketball overseas. And but yeah, at the time he was playing college. He just got done with college. And we was pretty much like empty nesters. And so I think at that time, we was talking and sort of made the decision. She actually got an interview out here with a position out here. And we just made the move. I pretty much work from home, so it's not like I have to be location specific. I think just one of those where you get used to having your friends and family, and you get comfortable in a certain environment. I was definitely scared to death, but I think at the same, I mean it's just a culture shock. I mean you're in the South for so long, then you get out here and you see grown men on skateboards and everybody's tatted up. It's a completely different world. So it's one of those like what is going on? And it's like even like the street lights, you got like that one street light and it turns great. Like we don't have those in the South. It's like, it's sort of a different setup.
Yeah. It's sideways.
Yeah.
Right?
So, it's just one of those where, a lot of times they'll have like a light for each lane. So how they got, they may have like one light. I forgot how it's set up here, but they may have like one light for like, maybe for like 2 lanes or 3 lanes, something like that. It's something weird, but I would sit there and look at the wrong light. And I would like be trying to go when I need to be like just
not going.
Yeah, not going. And I did that so many times. I'm like, and then I was lost. So like I have no clue where I was going. Like I took my son one time trying to get him to the airport. I'm thinking I'm getting on I-5 South and I'm hitting 78. And and I didn't realize it. I was like, let me do the GPS, and I had to turn around and go the opposite way. But I mean, I love it here now. It's just one of those where it's just a culture shock. It's just one of those where like, you're starting over from scratch. Even a lot of my clients, I work with a lot of people on the East Coast, and it's pretty much like starting over. Meeting new people, trying to promote the business, everything, and so it's one of those to where it really forced me to adapt real quick. And but yeah, I mean, I love it out here now. I wouldn't move back for nothing.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee. So it's right in the southeast part of Tennessee. It's actually hour south of Knoxville, and we're like 2 hours north of Atlanta. So,
dude, I don't know where. I mean, I know where Atlanta is, but like I don't even. I was just in Nashville for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Actually, it was it'll be a year ago next month. Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy. I was out there for Halloween.
Oh
Oh
no.
man, Nashville is sick.
Yeah.
I fucking love it there. And then we went to Lynchburg.
Okay, cool.
To go see the Jack Daniels
Yep.
distillery. How close is that to
Lynchburg and Nashville, they're like 2 hours west of Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because they pretty much have it split up. You got East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee, and Nashville. Obviously, Nashville and Lynchburg. They're in Middle Tennessee, and where we're at, we're in East Tennessee. So it usually takes us about 2 hours to get to Nashville or to get to Lynchburg.
Whoa. Middle, East, and West?
Yep.
Why is it broken up like that?
I don't know. It's just
Interesting.
Yeah, I have no clue. But that's how it's set up. So it's like it's one of those where like when people's like, oh, I've been in Tennessee. I was like, okay, well, which part of Tennessee? Because it's completely different. Like you go to Memphis, it's completely different from East Tennessee. A lot of people don't even count Memphis as Tennessee.
Why is that?
It's just they got a different culture there, and plus it's closer to like Mississippi and Arkansas and stuff like that. So it's just one of those where it's just one of those just different dynamics. It's almost like someone saying, "Hey, we was in South California." I'm like, "Well, what part of South California?" And they'll say up past somewhere past L.A. and a lot of times I'll count that as like central. It's like central.
No. Anything pretty much north of LA.
Yeah.
Like Bakersfield, that's like Central California.
Yeah, so they count some people be like, well, that's still Southern California. Well, no.
I only dude, I listened to a lot of rappers from Nashville. So Young Buck from back in the day, straight out of Cashville. It's a great album. And then Young Dolph. I listen to a lot of Young Dolph, and he's like, North Memphis, I'll be in North Memphis more than you. And he's talking about like Yo Gotti and this song called Play With Your Bitch. It's a really good song. But he always raps about Memphis.
Yeah.
Memphis. And then is it DJ Paul and Juicy J are from Memphis?
Yep.
And the Hypnotized Mind Camp, and then who else? Yo Gotti. Fuck. I think that might be it. But dude, yeah, those.
Anytime I think
listen to a lot of those guys.
Yeah, anytime I think of Memphis, I'm thinking 3 6 Mafia. That's what we used to hear all the time. And so yeah, a lot of underground rappers just throughout Tennessee. But it's sort of completely different. I mean, just the culture.
Well, you guys have country music culture there too.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Oh yeah. Yep.
We went to the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh yeah.
Grand Ole.
Yeah, Grand Ole Opry.
There we go. Grand Ole Opry. We went there and we were gonna go see Carrie Underwood, but we got there and realized it was like this like fundraiser show. So Carrie Underwood came out for maybe like 2-3 songs, and then she like went back out, and dude, everybody was just sitting there. What the fuck? I was like, I walked in with my wife and they were like, oh yeah, you got this, like, here's your seats, whatever. But we were like, excuse me, sorry, like getting by, and people were just like sitting down, and everybody was just sitting there watching. Nobody was making a peep, and nobody was clapping, nobody was singing along, nobody's like nothing, just quiet and watching. And I was looking at her like, what the fuck? Why? It's like, this is so weird. And then people would just like stand up or clap and do these things. But then we had, I guess, talked to some homies, and they're like, oh yeah, dude, no, that's how you watch concerts there. That's you don't get up, you're not rocking around. It's not.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I've never once in my life been to a concert where it was like that until that.
Yeah, Grand Ole Opry. So it's something else there. I mean, I know I used to go up there all the time when I was younger, but they sort of put that in high regard. It's like a religious institution there. It's
Is
one of
it?
those. Yeah,
Okay.
it's got a lot of history. A lot of the old country singers,
Yeah, Johnny
stars.
Cash.
Yeah, all of them been through there.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of history.
Have you been to the Johnny Cash Museum?
No, I haven't.
What? You need to go.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's really, really cool. But anyways, back to that. So the one thing I also want to talk to you about, I mean, we were talking about the MMA and stuff, but like your podcast specifically, you bring other creatives on.
yeah.
So I guess if you could describe your podcast, like what type of podcast would it be? Because my friends were asking me about this and they were like, is your podcast a lifestyle podcast? I'm like, I wouldn't say that at all. I would definitely say I want it to be like a motivational podcast.
Yeah.
So with the underlying tones, it's about people who are hustling and motivating,
Yeah.
and getting their vibe on. So for you, what would you say creative podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would definitely say a lifestyle podcast. I think it's just one of those where I think my big plan, because I named it the Creative Brew. I like to sort of dive deep into a lot of different subjects. That's just how my mind works. I mean, we can talk from anything about music and politics to the meaning of the universe. It's just one of those to where all that stuff has always interested me. So I was like, well, what if I was able to, bring people on and just talk about different things? I wanted to make it conversational. I didn't want it sort of a block format. I do have a format of questions, but we can go left field with anything. I mean, we can talk about something and then go left field, and talk about something else completely different. And I just wanted to be conversational and just talk about. I'm always interested in what how people tick, and I think it's just one of those to where I like to see, okay, how are different people working, and how do they go about their days, and maybe what pain points do they have, what things they might be struggling with that maybe I might be able to help with, or vice versa. Maybe it's something I'm struggling with, and be like, okay, now creating that relationship on the podcast, I can come to them and say, okay, look, I got a question on something, and they might be able to help me out. So it's just something like that. It's something that I've definitely wanted to sort of format to where it's just it's just a talk about life, and about how people like yourself and others, how they how are they creating a unique life that they're passionate about, that they love, and not to say it's not gonna be perfect, life ain't perfect, but something they're passionate about, something that fulfills them, and it's not gonna be being a millionaire or things like that. It's always good, but I don't think that's the purpose of life. It's it's one of those where I think everybody has their own unique skills and gifts, and it's something to where if you have the ability to sort of use that and support yourself, support your family, and support others, that's what I'm here to promote. So
that's what's up, dude. I fuck with that hard. That's seriously. What would you say is what keeps you going on your day to day?
What keeps me going, I think it's just the bigger vision. It's one of those to where with all the things that I have going, I definitely big plan. I would love to form it into a multimedia company. I've always been a student and a fan of people like Walt Disney and things like that, and Stan Lee, and just figuring out how they created all these things and build an empire around it. That's what sort of fuels me right now. That, and how much really how much inspiration, how much motivation could I share to others and give to others, that people that might be struggling, how can I help them out? How much I was just waking up like, who do I need to serve today? Who could I help today? If it's just one person, so be it. If it's a bunch of people do a video or do a graphic, then so be it. But those little things drive me. Creating a legacy. For my kids, for my grandkids. I got 4 grandkids. What? And
those are your step or
I do my stepsons, but they're pretty much, I love them to death.
That's so sick.
We've pretty much raised them up since they was little, so they always come out. We bring 3 of them out right now to every week. Every summer we'll bring them out for like a week or 2 out here, and they hang out with us, and like I said, all of them are growing up, and so I sort of. There's always things. Every time they come out, I always, have to tell a new story. Like, it's just one of those where I come up with new characters and stories, and they're like, "Oh, tell a story." So I got to hurry up and come up with a story real quick. And so I'll tell them scary stories. I'll tell them stories about just made up characters and things like that. But yeah, it's just one of those where I want to be able to, leave a legacy for them, for my wife, for all the people that I've, impacted through all the things that I've done. That's what I'm pushing for, and I won't stop. This is one of those where my brain won't make me stop, and I know as long as my mind, my heart keeps going, like I said, my body, I'll keep creating. I'll keep reaching out to people. I'll keep doing what's necessary to build something that especially a certain vision, something that's sort of been pulling at me. And like I said, it may change, but it won't stop me from trying. So
yeah. Do you think being a wrestler, somebody who achieved, such a success at an upper echelon, especially in sports, do you think that shaped how you look at the rest of the world and everything that you're trying right now?
Oh,
like
yeah.
your mentality, in a sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those where definitely grit, perseverance, just being persistent. I think all those qualities have helped me just through the course of my life. It's one of those to where it's, and I've had some things, happen, but it's just one of those where I think just the way I'm built, I'm too stubborn not to stop.
That's tight. I like that.
So it's just one of those where someone tells me no, and it's like, it's all right. You get up the next day and you keep going. And I think a lot of people, someone tells them no or they get hit, it's just one of those where like they won't get up. And it's one of those where I've sort of just the way I am, something happens or something doesn't go as planned. I just, as long as I'm able to get up for another day, I got a chance to fight, and that's what I'm concerned with. I'm not concerned with what wins or losses I had. Not to say I don't keep track of them, but I know, hey, if I get up tomorrow, then I've got a chance to make some new opportunities and create value for people and maybe put a smile on somebody that needs it. That's what fuels me.
That means a lot. I like that. I think that that motivation, like that's what I'm hearing when I hear you talking about that stuff. It's just, I can relate it to so many different levels. I mean, you specifically, super successful wrestler, and I didn't wrestle. I'm not really built that way. I'm sorry. But I was definitely, it's so funny you said early in the conversation, you said, there's grown men riding skateboards. And
Yeah,
it's like, bro, that's what I did for so long in my life. That's how I literally got all of the injuries that I've ever attained on my body. 2 broken ankles, broken back, broken hip, broken fingers. Oh yeah, bro. But I love it.
Yeah.
And you still find, just today I was texting my homie Ray Ray. Shout out Ray Ray. He was like, bro, do you want to skate tomorrow or the weekend? I was like, yo, let me go talk to my physical therapist. Shout out Katie. But she was like, I was like, let me talk to her, see if I'm good, because like I can finally get some feeling back in my calf, like where it was hurting.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I can maybe bomb some hills. But I'm down because I bomb hills on the regular.
Yeah.
And he was like, smoke and go bomb some hills. I'm like, oh, yes, bro, you know me so well. Like, I'm fucking down, son. But I was like, as far as jumping around, like, I don't know yet. I don't think so, because I'm still trying to train for this marathon. But that was what I meant, is that mentality for skateboarding. I've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm sorry for all the people who've listened to this. It's like, skateboarding formed how I look at life.
Yeah.
And it's that grit, it's that like persistence, it's determination, being too stubborn.
Yeah.
It's all of these things, but just like two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it definitely shaped how I look at every other thing that's not really harming me.
Oh yeah.
And just challenge you mentally.
Yep.
So to hear you talk about it in like a different way is super sick, because you're still saying the same shit, but
Yeah.
it's like it's just delivered in a different way.
Yeah.
It's through your experience.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I admire that, man. It's not too often that you meet that many people. I mean, everybody I have come on, I'm trying to like have them be as motivational as possible. Some people, and this is not saying no names, it's just some people aren't there.
Yeah.
And then some people are like over the top there.
Yeah.
And it's that's what I want. I want people like yourself who are like, you're wrestling, you're in a routine, but then you got your clothing brand, you got your podcast, you got your actual design work, you want to do a multimedia company. It's like, but you're in action as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa, like this is super inspiring to see somebody that self-motivation, that self drive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you just hit it on the spot. I mean, even with, and even with skateboarding, I mean, skateboarding could be it could be when you're training, just you're working on certain moves and things like that. It's a lonely sport. It's not like you would love to have your little, skate posse with you and things like that. But when you're competing, it's just you.
Yeah.
And that's,
or when even you're battling the trick.
Yeah.
Your homies can be there and they be at the bottom and they coolin', like, just chilling.
Yeah.
But you're the one in the air.
Yep.
Battling that shit. So when you land it, it's like, son,
Yep.
I roll away.
So, it's just the same thing with wrestling. It's just one of those where a lot of times, I used to, work out by myself, and not to say we had a team aspect, but yeah, a lot of times, I mean, when you're training, you're training by yourself, and, you have to be really, especially in college, you have to be really self-motivated, to, not only do school, but, do college athletics too. But yeah, it was times it was times I was wanting to quit. It was times where I'm like, well, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this to myself? But it's just one of those where something innately, it just, something tells you to keep going. And, even through the losses, I mean, there's, certain losses I've had, between my high school and college careers where, I think it's sort of driven me to really, be who I am now. I think it's been a evolution, but those little moments, where we feel like, we might be the biggest failures, those are the greatest. And this is for anyone that might be listening or watching right now. Whatever failures or whatever struggles you're going through right now, they are your honestly, they're your biggest teachers. Those,
oh yeah.
So this is one of those where used to I would get mad because I'm having a challenge or situation, and now I love it. It's just one of those, I stay in gratitude for it. And there's something I need to learn. So it's just one of those situations where you're having to train by yourself. You stay driven by something,
self-reliant.
Yeah. And used to, it would be, honestly, it would competing, it would be something external. I'm looking for a championship or things like that. And and when your career is up, now you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? So it's just one of those where I think people go through that little process of evolution, and they go from that one platform to another, and but you stay pulled. There's something, I think, just through the course of my years, there's always been something that's sort of pulled me and kept me moving when I easily could have given up. So,
do you think that through doing the podcast and having conversations with complete strangers or great friends of yours, I mean, you have both, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you understand completely. So it's like, do you think that through the time of doing the podcast and through the interactions and conversations that you've had, do you think that they have become part of your psyche and in part of like your motivators because you're seeing what other people are doing?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think it's just one of those where just the little things. Even it could be as little as getting the video that I recorded and going through the editing process, and you rehear a lot of the things that they're saying. that stuff sooner or later it just sort of absorbs in you. So those little tips and things that they're giving out, I mean, it's for me too. So it's one of those where all those little things, through all those little interactions, even talking before we start recording, all those little interactions, all those things add up, and they sort of get ingrained in your psyche. So,
dude, yeah.
And I read a lot of books too. And
do you read a lot?
Yeah.
Damn, I really try. I honestly do. I find myself more often than not, I'm like, okay, I need to read right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go read an article, but it has to be like a coffee-related article.
Yeah.
On the real. I mean, we were talking about this before the podcast. Like, bro, I can't justify being on my fucking phone all the time. And it sucks. Even my wife is like, you're on your phone all the time. What do you want me to do? Yeah, I gotta do it, you know? It really is. I mean, to do the podcast, do the promotion, I'm stream live through my phone.
Yeah.
I don't have a camera. I don't have a cameraman.
Yeah.
I have that. And but it's also through my phone. We were talking about the technology, bro. It's attached to every single thing that I do.
Yep.
And to be successful, you have to be constantly on it.
Yep.
And it gets a little down sometimes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'll share a little story with you real quick. I mean, if you don't mind.
No, you're fine.
But it was, you're going to be episode 66 and I have only published 60. I have these podcasts I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and I haven't published one in 2 weeks. And it's been weird for me. Not all the podcasts were great.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of going through some shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, something really starting to suffer. When you're actually going through life shit, like if you're doing so many things, one thing starts to suffer.
Yep.
And I've been so compartmentalized that I've for some reason neglected the podcast of publishing.
Yeah.
They're all edited. They're ready to go. All I need to do is fucking go onto my hosting platform, do the description of the thing, and boom, and send it off.
Yeah.
But it's been really crazy, and it's some of the conversations have been out there, and some of the conversations have been invigorating and motivating, but all of them great regardless.
Yeah.
Just different in their own way. But it's been interesting because through compartmentalizing, like I'll be going through some crazy shit and I'll have a hectic day or like a very emotional day or something like that. And then it's like, I have a podcast tonight. I can't cancel this.
Yeah.
And then I shut it off. And like my wife looked at me once. She was like, that's probably going to fuck you up in the end because like you can just shut your emotions off. And I was just like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was like, I've always been like that and I can always just break it off. But I've also learned through other people that I've been either mentored through or have had the privilege to work beside, very successful people. Doesn't matter what's going on in their life. They that's going on and then they do what they have to do and then they get right back to what they got to do.
Yeah.
And I think as I've learned, as I've gotten older, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to keep going.
Yep.
And that's, I don't know if you've ever done psychedelics, but for me, when I did psychedelics, one specific time, I was standing there and I was in the middle of this, like, I don't know, it was very, very close to the stage because it wasn't a mosh pit. It was just like very, very close to the stage watching this DJ. I was tripping on psychedelics and the music, I was like standing there and I saw some crazy shit going on around me. Like this guy was like going like this, like moving his hands like to his chest in like a wavy like motion. And there's like two girls in front of me like making out. And then this dude is like smoking like a cigarette or a joint. I don't know what he's smoking, but he's just like watching him. And I'm like, what the this is so weird. And then all of a sudden like the music goes down and there was like this light show and I was kind of like, whoa. I had to like grab my wife who was standing in front of me. I was like, okay, she's real. This is chill.
Yeah.
I'm just tripping. And then the lights kind of go all over the place and this like the music that was like boom, 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 it goes shoo, like a wind tunnel.
Oh, wow.
And it just became like a beat that was in another room. Like you could just hear like a boom, 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 like but hella far away.
Oh, Lord.
And I was standing there and all of a sudden this mantra, just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And I was like, what does that mean? And it was just, it doesn't matter what it means. Just
Yep.
keep going. And it was like, boom. And that just kept repeating. And it was that way for a little bit, to the point where I was just like, okay, I have to like stop fighting this and just like acknowledge it and accept it.
Yep.
And it went, whoosh, and I was like, I was back, and I stood there for a second. I was all, whew. I was like, damn, that was heavy. And my wife was like, are you okay? And I was all, yeah, I'm good now. I'm good.
Yeah.
But I was all, yeah, for a minute there, it was kind of just, I was so deep in what I imagined was my own thoughts in my own head that I was looking for an answer, and it came, but it was like the most simplistic answer ever. And since that day, whenever I hear keep going, it's like a trigger in my life. You know what I mean? I have an obsession with Nipsey Hussle. I have way before he died. And I started, like, after he died, dude, I straight up shed tears. Like, when he died, I straight up was like in the kitchen crying, like away from my wife.
Yeah.
Just like listening to his music. And I was so like, I was like, fuck, this sucks, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started watching his old videos, and they were like talking about his name and what he was about, and they were like, what's your secret to success? But I think just keep going.
Yeah.
And I was all, bro, like, what the fuck? Yes, like, he knows. And then through like other points in my life, like my homie Lawrence, shout out Lawrence Limtow, he is an artist as well, but he does skateboarding stuff, and he made me like a little piece on like a pop-up postal service box.
Yeah.
And it's like, keep pushing.
Yeah.
And it's like a dude pushing, and it's just like going forward. And I was all, dude, that's the same thing as keep going.
Yep.
And then I hear you talking about keep going. Dude, that's it. That's just all it is. That's really all it is.
Yeah, I actually talked about that in my last podcast episode, and really just talking about course correction. Everybody, if anyone that's been on a plane, it doesn't go exactly from point A to point B. They're doing a lot of little course corrections throughout the course of the trip. So it's one of those where you hit those little bumpy rides, or things happen. You keep going to your destination. And I think you just nailed it on the head. I mean, sometimes you have to get yourself. Matter of fact, the universe, it loves to play little games with you. Now it'll test you at times, but it's one of those to where sometimes to get your attention, you almost have to get out of your senses to get your senses. And I think in one of those situations like that, it had to get you out of your brain, out of your rational thought, to get you the answer that you were needing. And I'm a huge component, a huge student with just mantras and things like that. And like I said, life, the universe, it has to throw you little messages, and when you need it, it'll give you the answer you need. It just won't be in the answer that you expected. So I mean, you nailed it, right on the head. And then, like I said, all those little things really just start reflecting what what you already know. You just keep going. I mean, that's the secret.
Do you think, because obviously there's your gut, like trust your gut, and then there's also your logic. I don't believe in regrets. I don't. It's just not. It's not part of what I do. Like, I don't regret it. That might have been a mistake, but I'll take a mistake. I'll say it's a mistake. I won't ever say I was wrong. But like, it happened the way it was supposed to happen, because that was the way it was supposed to happen. That said, do you make mistakes? Of course. Are there like mistakes that are not repairable beyond belief? Of course. It doesn't mean that you'll hate that person, but it just definitely means that it's like, yo, this is all the way screwed up, way too much. So would you say, based on like, I believe in like more energies in universe and like giving that, but also like when you get that gut feeling that something's not right, it's like you gotta trust your gut. If you've already gone logical, and logical was the worst mistake ever, and then you have like another, like it comes to a crossing point, it's like, is this gonna be logical, or is this gonna be, you gotta follow your gut, because you went logical before. It's like, you gotta trust the gut. And it's like, if the gut's wrong, and like you wake up 6 months from now and you're like, damn, why did I make that? It's like, well, you gotta live with it.
Yep, it's one of those where your gut, your intuition, it knows you better than you know yourself, and it's one of those to where I think more people have to start trusting their gut more than anything else. I think sometimes we see things on paper, and we say, okay, with you may have a certain thing you're wanting to put out, or something you want to create, and on paper it's not even, you don't see it as being being feasible, or you see all these obstacles and excuses or challenges, but your gut is telling you that you need to go this direction. You've got to go with it. Like I said, your intuition, your gut, when you let it, it is never wrong. You need to.
When you're really behind it,
yeah,
I feel like
it's
when you never wrong.
Yeah, when you have that faith, and you go 100% with it, and you make that decision, everything will start falling into place. And I think sometimes we try so hard to control everything, and I think just through the course of my life, I've figured out that I've started to let up on the control, and sort of just see where everything developed. Because like I said, I don't know if 10 years from now if I'll be doing the podcast, or if I'll be still doing design work and things like that. But I see myself as a just a creative evolution of just constantly changing and developing to who I need to be. Heck, if 10 years from now I'm some speaker or trainer or coach or whatever, then so be it. Or if I'm an author or a writer, then so be it. All I'm doing right now is sort of expressing more of really of who I am and who I feel like I'm becoming, and not just for me, but for anyone that needs to hear this right now, or it may resonate with them, that you don't give up. There's you may be hearing this right now because you may be in a low point, or you may be in a crossroads to where you feel like you should go a certain direction, and your rational mind is saying, well, no, we need to be stable, we need to do this. Not to say I want you to be practical, make smart decisions, but do it. You need to have something innately that's going to pull and drive you, and to go that direction. Then you can make the practical steps and actions in order to go towards the direction that you want to go towards, not towards something that your parents told you, or some kind of external factors told you that you need to do or you need to become. So,
yeah, dude. This is like coming at a very interesting time, I feel like, the conversation. Because like I was saying earlier, like without getting into it, but it's just like, yeah, dude. It's very interesting. I definitely think that's what I think motivates me personally, even doing this podcast specifically. I mean, talking about following your gut. I mean, when I started thinking about doing the podcast,
yeah.
When I actually get behind something, it's going to happen that quick.
Yeah.
If I think of a new tattoo, guarantee that tattoo will probably be on me within the next month. Like, on all honesty, it's going to be there. Like, if I find a drive, like when Nip died, I got the Nip hustle like immediately. It didn't even matter. Oh, I need $175? Yeah, I got it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that the gut will tell you, and the podcast for me was a gut feeling.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I can't just do this though. I have to research this. So the way I am, I have a very calculated mind in that sense, where if I'm going to make it sound good, I don't want to hear some budget ass, like I've heard some budget ass podcasts, and that's fine. No hate, because eventually everybody will get better.
Yeah.
But I was all, if I'm going to come, like the way I do things, if I'm going to do it, I got to come correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the research and it did it all. And then finally, now we're here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. That was a gut feeling, and it's like when I get a real gut feeling like that, I have to follow it.
Yeah.
And it's never really led me wrong, but it's kind of scary as when you get older and you follow that gut feeling, and by taking that plunge,
yeah,
things are going to be like drastically different than when you were younger.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You made that gut feeling.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those, and then we have to start sort of, I mean, things are changing. I mean, we almost have to start thinking about how we even see ourselves, even, like I said, I just turned 39, but, energy wise, body wise, I feel like I'm in my early 30s. So it's just one of those to where, going into my 40s, I mean, I have no. I mean, I feel like I can still go. And and I'm still, if the book comes out next year, if it comes out in a couple years, I'm gonna be patient.
Book. We didn't even talk about the book.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute though. It's because that one can get a little deep, but
All right.
but yeah, it's just one of those where I think some people feel like, well, when I hit 50 years old, I'm gonna retire and that's it. And like I said, I'm a student of people like Walt Disney, Stan Lee, and those cats kept creating until they died.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they did.
And that's what I aspire to do. That's something I like. I want to keep creating. Not to say, I want to be practical. I want to make sure that things are in place, for future generations and my family and stuff like that. But my brain won't stop. Like I'll keep I'll keep finding something else to create, and I think that's just who I am. And a lot of times, even when I'm designing things or if I'm writing something, I'm just heck. A lot of times I'm just more of a messenger of creativity. Half the time it's not even my ideal. I'm just here to express it and share it, and what people get from it, it's up to them. But I think it's meant for me to express that and create that and put it out in reality. That's my goal.
What do you mean by a messenger? Do you mean what you're creating is not really your idea?
Yeah, I think a lot of times what happens is that a lot of people have ideals, and a lot of times they'll have similar ideals. And so I've heard it a bunch of times where like they'll see something on TV and like, I had a similar ideal like that. I think life, universe, whoever you pray to, it doesn't put all of its cards into one person. There'll be certain concepts that people, certain ideals and things like that, and it may spread it out to a bunch of people. And really, whoever is courageous enough to actually put it into reality generally gets the rewards of it. So yeah, you can have people with similar ideals for a movie or similar ideals for a book, things like that. They're similar concepts, but the way they deliver it, what you were saying, the way they deliver it is different. So it's just one of those to where even when I'm creating certain things, I just see myself as it's not really mine. It's one of those to where I create it, I put it into reality, but it's not for me to hang on to. And used to, I would be like that. I'd have a certain design or a piece of artwork, and I would just cling on to it, and I wouldn't post it out, I wouldn't share it or nothing. And now, like, even with the coffee cups and even with all the other artwork that I do, I'll share it and post it out. Heck, a lot of the coffee cups I've been doing contests for. I mail them out and give them away for free. So it's like I said, it's not my job to see what unfolds, what unfolds because of that. My job is just to create. And how I create, it could be through a podcast, it can be through a book, it could be through designs, it could be through artwork, whatever the medium is. My job is just to create and communicate and share it out.
Well, let's talk about the book for a second.
Yeah.
You were talking about the book when you came over. You brought me a poster of the book that you're going to be putting out.
Yep.
But with everything that you're doing, you're still finding time to write. Is it a superhero book, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi book.
Sci-fi. Okay, sci-fi.
But it's got a lot of and it's something that I've only told a small group of people, but it's got a lot of spiritual undertones to it. And like I said, concepts that we've been talking about a little bit through this episode. It really reflects in that book. So a lot of the stuff that I believe in, that I study on, that I feel like is, part of my life. I try to reflect that in that book. So, but yeah, besides that, I've always been a big sci-fi nerd, big comic book geek. And, I think it was just sort of the perfect mix of, all the inspiration and when we're talking about energy and vibration and frequencies and things like that, all that, it's one big mix of that. And it really just comes down to you've got those specific characters, and it's just one of those where you've got different characters from different backgrounds, and it really just talks about a soul family, and it talks about you blood wise you could be completely different, but there's something more that connects us. more than just blood. So your family could be someone overseas, or it could be, all the little things that led me to you. It doesn't have to be tied to blood. I mean, for what are really the odds of us from completely different backgrounds meeting right now
at this moment in time?
I mean,
yes.
what's the odds of that? So it's just one of those where that's a lot of the stuff that that I talk about in that book, and it'll be played out through the characters and in the story and things like that. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting book. So,
dude, I like that. I think that's tight. I mean, I want to touch on that again though. What has led me to you? Everybody that you meet in your life, there's so many people in this world, and but you're every single person that you run into, whether it's the dude who's cussing at you on the side of the street, or the instructor that you took a class from that you actually went and talked to, not a person that you like. I only count the interactions, like the verbal action. Maybe like I bumped into you, like, yo, my bad, G, like, yo, and then we just keep going. That was the only reason I was supposed to meet you, just for like a quick second. But the people you end up having relationships with, they come into your life for a reason. Why? Like, why? You're from tell me again. Tennessee?
Yeah, from Tennessee.
Where the town?
From Cleveland, Tennessee.
Cleveland, Tennessee. You're from Cleveland, Tennessee, and I'm from Fremont, California. And then we're meeting in San Diego, having this conversation. Dude,
I mean, you calculate what are the odds of that even happening.
There's a reason why we're supposed to be hanging out.
So, it's just one of those where, the name of it, obviously the name of the graphic novel I'm working on is called Seed. But
Seed.
So it's just one of those where, you got different people planted at certain times, and when they get put in the right environment, you just crazy things happen. And that'll be what happens with those characters. And like I said, I don't want to give out too many details, because there's a lot of secret history between some of the characters and things like that. But you find out, like, even the backgrounds of the characters, they feel so separate, but when you get into the background history, they're all connected. And I'll play on that a little bit more, in the story. But I think it'll be interesting. I've had my wife read the script of it. Right now, I'm on page 60 right now. It's supposed to be about 120 pages right now.
It's a quick one. Quick story.
Yeah, so I've let my wife read it, and she loved it. So definitely doing rewrites, but I think I honestly really don't even see it as a comic book. It's something to where, like,
is it illustrated as well?
Yeah, it's gonna be a graphic novel. Yeah.
Oh shit! So you're drawing all of it too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
So it's one of those to where I think when people see it, I told my wife, I mean, it's more of a message for people.
Dude,
it's something that I want people to read and be like, I can relate to this character, or that's something that might be hitting me at a certain time. I want people to be able to relate to those characters, and I think it'll be a great book. So it'll dive deep into some stuff. So
yes, I'm backing all of this. The fact that you're gonna be drawing it, makes it that much more badass. So does that mean that you're doing it like in a block format on a comic book with like the little bubbles with the
and that's been, I think that right now that's been the big conversation between me and my wife, because she was like, why don't you just write it out as just a straight novel? And it's just one of those where that's the right now the crux of my dilemma right now, to where, okay, I could write it out as a full novel. I could just knock it out now and do it. But my idea was to have it in sort of a long comic book form, which is a graphic novel. And because I've always been tied to comic books. But honestly, it might be one of those to where as it changes and evolves, I might have to just let it go where it needs to go. If it needs to just be a written novel, so be it. But I may have some illustrations sprinkled in there, but right now, right now, originally I got it as a long form comic book. So it's just one of those where I'll just keep pushing along on it. But I think once it gets out, I'll definitely be heavily promoting it and really getting feedback from others. And but I really want to see it as it's almost like to me, once it releases, I want to see it as almost like a message of hope. And it'll have a lot of things, a lot of undertones in there with all kinds of different stuff. So
hell yeah,
That's badass. I'm 100. Wow. I'm like, how do you find the time?
I wake up early.
What's your average day?
Average day, I get up about probably about 4:44, 4:30, 4:44, something like that. And I get up and I do a like a little 10, 15-minute meditation, and then after that I help with my wife. She usually drives to work, so she's up anyway early in the morning, and then after that I'll go work out, come back, get about 15 minutes of reading time in. Listen to a podcast. I may probably sometimes I'll listen to a podcast while I'm working out, and then I'll do some journaling, and then I sort of figure out what needs to be done today, and what direction am I going, what things that I could probably work on, what things are evolving right now between all the different brands and businesses that I have, but and then that's how I get started with my day. So, and then depending on what day of the week it is, a lot of times I'm during the evening time. I'll on Wednesdays I'll go back and train the little kids for wrestling practice at the compound up in Oceanside, and then I'll do the adult practice. And a lot of times I'll train with them and teach them some technique and things like that. So it really depends on the day of the week. Wednesdays it can get crazy, but usually that's normally my regular day through the week. And then, like I said, Tuesdays I release the podcast. So usually Monday I'm doing some editing sometime through the day between any of my client work and things like that. So yeah, that's my day. So usually I'll try to write. I'll usually try to write in the morning times before I get started, like with my design work. Because if I do my client work first and then I try to get to writing, I can't do it. So a lot of times I just make myself do it first, and then I'll get to my client work after that.
Damn.
So.
Dude, that's super inspiring. And you're your own boss. I mean, damn. I really wish that I can get there one day for sure. Hopefully by I don't know, next couple of years, try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that sounds so legit that you just get to do that. I mean, I plan my day around working at the coffee shop, which I'm not bummed on at all, but definitely. Yeah, I mean, when we're gonna stop, I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna go to the gym. I have to get it in, even though I drank this tequila. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you gotta get it in.
Yep, gotta get it in.
Gotta get it in. I mean, I'm getting to a point where I'm like losing my mind. I feel like, I mean, that morning workout. It really does set the tone for the day. But I'm also not not opposed to late night.
Yeah,
getting it after it. Oh, dude, just fucking son.
Yeah. Now, if my wife doesn't make me go to sleep sometimes, I would probably go to the gym and work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's the one that grounds me because I can be all over the place. My head could be in the clouds, and she is my grounding force many times. And so it's one of those where she corrals me in, and so she's definitely my balance on a lot of things. But I've got to get in the morning workouts. I really don't care so much for the evening. Now I'll go back. Usually I'll go back and work out in the evening time. I mean, for the most part, I think like just from working out, in college and stuff, I've been used to sort of just training like twice a day. So I hadn't stopped doing that. So I'll keep.
Dude, that's so sick.
But yeah, a lot of times, sometimes I'll go to my wife. I'll go to yoga with my wife on the weekends, and I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of wrestling, and I'm always doing circuit training and things like that. But I always get up in the morning and work out.
How long?
I usually do it for about 45 minutes tops.
What, really?
Yeah, so I get in certain circuits. I don't take a lot of breaks. So a lot of times I'll go do certain rounds of circuit training, and I may do maybe a minute break, and then I'll jump right back into it. But I try to knock it out pretty quick, and then it depends on what workout I'm doing. But usually I try to time it out at about 45 minutes.
You do your own workouts?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, you've trained for so long. You know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Damn.
So if I need to push myself a little bit, or if I feel like I'm sort of plateauing, I'll do some different things to sort of shock my system.
Yeah.
And but a lot of times I'm just sort of maintaining, and I just want to be able to have a consistent energy. You know, I've told my wife, you know, I want to be able to, you know, and I still do. I mean, I'll wrestle around with my little grandkids and stuff, but I want to be able to, you know, run around with my kids when I get a little bit older. I still want to be able to, you know, run and do different things. That's not out of the question. You know,
Yeah,
as long
no,
as I,
hell no.
Yeah. So as long as I, you know, take care of my body, I know how my body is. I know when I need to throttle down, and I know at the same time too when I need to push it just a little bit, or if I feel like I'm getting bored. Sometimes I'll get bored a lot of times, and then, you know, yeah, I have to go, you know, do some jiu-jitsu or do some wrestling and things like that, because it just, like I said, just forces me to process things a little bit quicker.
Dude, that's interesting you say that, because the bored thing, I mean, I know you mean it in the way like you might get bored off that one thing you're doing, but you need to switch.
Yeah.
But I mean it in a little bit different. I've heard people, I'm not gonna, again, I won't say any names, but there's certain people that I'll get texts from like, oh, I'm bored. I'm like, the fuck you mean you bored? What are you talking about? Go find something to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that I don't believe in I'm bored.
Oh no,
I don't, that doesn't fly with me.
Yeah. Well, I think with a lot of people, they just there's certain things that they value, and right now they hadn't put in the energy or the effort to sort of find out what they need to be doing on this planet. So yeah, when they're bored, you know, it's just one of those where I think it's just an effort issue. It's not to say that, you know, there's all kinds of things that could be done around here. It's just right now you value, I think with some people, honestly, they value, you know, numbness more than anything else, or they value just, you know, they want to zone out and things like that. Not to say that's good or bad. I mean, some people just need to decompress sometimes, but it's just one of those to where I've never been bored with anything.
Dude, honestly, I feel like I have one of my dirty pleasures is to sit and watch music videos.
Yeah.
I fucking love watching music videos. I don't care. Dude, it's weird. It's what I do. It's one of my things. But I'll sit and spend like sometimes 45 minutes. I'll go be looking like for new videos of the artists that I like. I'm like, oh, I'll watch this one. Oh, I'll watch this one. Just see the visual art aspect of it, right? But then after maybe 45 minutes an hour, if I ever have that much time and I just wasted it 45 to an hour on watching music videos, it's like I feel bad about myself. I'm all, jeez. What in the hell, bro? Did you just an hour? You could have gone out and done something or taken a nap, which I probably should be doing anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, damn, bored.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
No
yeah. This is
way.
Yeah. This is one of those where there's too many things on my brain right now that like I don't have the time to be bored. There's something that I feel like I need to put out on this planet, and I know that's the same for a lot of people, and I just don't have time to be bored.
No way.
There's too much stuff to be done.
Well, even if I make plans and then the plans fell through or something, and it's like, okay, we have to decide what we're gonna do. Oh, we're gonna get drunk all day. I'm gonna get drunk all day. You better believe I'm gonna get drunk with a fury. It's like, yes, let's go. But then I'm gonna pass out later. It's like, I'm not just gonna like lollygag. Like, oh, this isn't as fun as I thought. Like, no, fuck. You said want to get drunk. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like I'm down.
Yeah, go 100%.
Yeah, I'm going 100 or not. Like that's it. That's all that's happening. But fuck, man. I mean, this has been a very not eye-opening, but like I would definitely say an awe-inspiring almost, because I didn't know I mean, I knew we were obviously gonna be talking about a lot of different shit.
Yeah.
But how the conversation has gone, I feel like I'm getting motivated. Like, oh, son, like, fuck yeah, you know, like that's how I talk. I mean, and that's how I like in my head. That I mean, you're an athlete. I consider myself an athlete for running, for skating.
Yeah.
You for all of the stuff that you do. But for my own self-motivation, especially when I'm working out, like I start talking shit to myself like so hard.
Yeah.
And I love talking shit. I do. It's one of the best things on the planet. And I don't know if it's because of, like, my Mexican culture, like just like, you know, just busting each other's balls all day, or just in general, just guys, you know, like especially when you're with like, I know, Latinos and black guys and white guys, like we all talk shit. Like, just like, and then you got your own little swag on it. And so like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
But I go extra hard on myself when I'm in the gym, and I just start like, it's like I start saying messed up stuff.
Yeah.
And I've said this before on the podcast, but like when in your head, are you Are you talking shit to yourself? Are you just like, what's your motivation on your internal dialogue?
Yeah, it's one of those where I think I used to just be talking just all kinds of trash to myself, and just like, hey, you know, just like, yo, you wimp, and it's like, keep going, dude, keep going. Now it's just one of those where I've used other little things, because it's just one of those where I've gotten to a certain point to where sometimes if if I really want to do something, or if I'm really wanting to compete or something like that, my body and my mind will switch, and knock it up to another gear, because I've been at that sort of gear for so long. A lot of times I've just learned to sort of just throttle down and sort of coast. And a lot of times it doesn't, like I said, for me, I really don't even do that to myself anymore. I just, like I said, I know, heck, actually, not to get too woo woo or anything like that. A lot of times I talk to my body a lot. I'll tell myself,
Really?
yeah, I'll tell myself thank you. I get up in the morning, I tell my feet, my knees, because I put it through some stuff. I just say thank you for just letting me be able to walk. So it's just one of those where I think just with grandkids and kids, I've gotten real laid back now. It's just one of those where I really don't scream at myself like I used to. Now I do use like little examples, things that I've experienced that just talking, one quick example. I was coaching at a wrestling practice one day, and we get a lot of military in there and things like that. Well, it was one of the militaries, I believe might have been his girlfriend that was there, and she was sitting there, watching the practice. And a lot of times I'll give out little tidbits of wisdom after practice. So I'll talk to them about another 10 minutes after, and we'll just talk about life. We'll talk about certain things that might be hitting me that I'll talk to them about. And the one girl that was sitting there, she was like, oh, it was a great talk. And we started talking, and found out she had MS. And it was just one of those where I could tell from her voice how much pain she was in. And but she was, like I said, I think she's going for her master's or something like that. And so she's doing all this stuff. So she's like, all this stuff is happening to me, but look, I'm not giving myself any excuses. So that sort of hit with me, to be like, even when things might be hitting me, or I might go in and work out and things like that, I'm like, well, what would this girl say? It's like, no excuse, so like I just keep going, just based off that. And so yeah, I really don't scream at myself as much anymore.
Interesting.
But I use little things like that to be like, there's, if I feel like, I finish out with one rep, let's do one more. There's no excuse. Like I said, you got someone that they're wishing they can go in here and just work out, and they're walking around in pain. I have no excuse whatsoever.
Yep.
So, and that goes for a lot of people.
Yep.
It's just one of those where people want to train, or they want to do certain things. There's no excuse. And so you've got the time to do it. It's just what do you value? For me, I value my health. I value, my family. I value creativity. I value relationships, good relationships. So those are things that that push and drive me, and those are things I'll make the time for. I'm not making time for excuses or things like that. I don't have time for that.
What about negativity?
Negativity, it could be good or bad. A lot of times I can be stubborn. A lot of times I just let it sort of really just roll off of me. I used to be real defensive on certain things. And now it's just you're gonna have that negative. That's just a part of life. You're gonna have, for however many positive people you have, there will be the negative people to match it. And
easy.
So
or probably double.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's just one of those to where if you wasn't doing something special, you wouldn't have that negativity in your life.
Well, that, and then plus, dude, I just can't have that shit.
Oh yeah.
Me. Like, yo, you're gonna be negative. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, and that's boom. That's how the compartment just like shutting it down. Like, yo, I don't even acknowledge it, bro.
Heck, I talk. Sometimes, a lot of times, heck, I talk. Negative talk just to myself. I was like, I don't have time for anyone else to tell me what I'm already telling myself.
Yeah, nah. It's like, Bro, I can't fuck with negativity. It's so detrimental.
Yeah.
It really is. When you honestly, I've been surrounded by negative people my entire life.
Yeah.
And finally, when I started getting in a great headspace, where like, bro, I mean, talking about skateboarding and wrestling, you're alone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, bro, no matter if you're married, doesn't matter you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Yep.
You're still alone.
Yep.
And that's once you can be comfortable being alone and being like really happy with yourself. And I've said this before, is like, that's when you can start being able to be with other people.
Yeah.
And that's also when you can know, yeah, it's going to suck to be by yourself, or yeah, it might suck to be by yourself at all.
Yeah.
And people are like longing to be with another person.
Yeah.
But it's like, yo,
that's called codependence.
yeah, it's like, nah.
You will
like,
drain the energy from somebody.
You can definitely be by yourself and like be self-motivating and get it going, not be negative and not have that shit in your life.
Yeah.
It really, I think that's one thing I definitely want to touch on, especially now that I hear like how positive you are for the most part. I mean, not even talking mess to yourself. I mean, I can imagine, having grandchildren would probably be something. I mean, having a kid, I mean, I don't know, but having a kid, I imagine would like kind of ease you up a little bit. But then when your kid has a kid, it's like, yo, bro, like,
yeah, it switches your whole frame of how you even how you say things to people. Because like I said, those things, like I said, there's things I would want want my grandkids to aspire towards, even my kids. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of the way I say things, or the things that I say it with intention. There's not a lot of people that I know. You won't hear me, and a lot of times I'm a quiet person. I think the podcast has forced me to become more extroverted, but naturally I'm real introverted. I'm usually pretty to myself, pretty quiet. But so if I say something, I'm gonna say it with some intention. But I know the power of words, because like I said, those things, you can say something to a person, and it could destroy someone's mind. So I'm real particular about how I say things to my grandkids, how I say things to my kids, and even, like I said, even to my wife, or even to all the people that I impact. Like I said, I want to be able to help them and to empower them. And at the same time too, I'm going to help them out. It's not going to be pretty. Like I said, if you did something wrong, be responsible for it, take accountability for it. But you just grow from there. But I'm never going to say, hey, no, you can't be this, or you can't be that. This world has way too many opportunities, and there's too many things that people are gifted with, and people that might be longing for, or things that they know they should be doing and they're not doing. Like I said, people have got ability to do beautiful things. Like I said, they just need the right environment. They need the right people to let them know what they already know to be true. That's all I'm doing. Even when I'm a coach, I tell them all I'm doing is just revealing things that you already have in you. That's all I'm doing. I just have to push certain buttons to make that happen. So yeah, I think that's been the sort of the project for me, and personally, and relationship wise, is figuring out how to bring out the best in anybody. So yeah, it's one of those where having those kids, man, it changes your life. I don't have any personally, but I treat my sons and my grandkids like they're my own, and it's just one of those. I'm real particular about what I say to a lot of them and how I say it, and I think just with that, I think it's just forced me to sort of see life differently. To be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chilled out. Know that, hey, you got to make mistakes. It's just it's one of those, especially with the grandkids. It's just they ask so many questions, and they're learning about life, and you want to be there to be like, hey, I don't have all the answers, but I could possibly guide you to the answer that you seek. So it's one of those where it's always fun. It is a journey, and I think that's the goal for, or the purpose for everyone's to find their own narrative, find their own story, and create their own story. I think a lot of people have the same old story, feel like, well, this doesn't happen for me, or I keep getting in these situations. And a lot of times what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to change up your whole story about who you are, who you think you should be, how many kids you think you should have at age 30, if you should be married, if you should have a house with a mortgage. All that stuff is completely false. You don't have to have any of that. You get to create your own narrative. You get to create your own story. And I think when people realize that, then I think it gets a little more freeing, and feeling like they don't have to keep up with the Joneses, or feel like they have to have certain things. I know I definitely don't. I'm very blessed and fortunate. Me and my wife were fine, but at the same time too, it's not like we're rolling in the money. I don't, that's not my end goal. My end goal is to be a messenger for creativity, love my wife, love my kids, and love the people that I'm in contact with, and sharing out love, gratitude, inspiration, and just walk it and live by it. And not to say, heck, negative things happen to me. There's a lot of times where I may say something negative to myself, or feel like I'm not good enough, or feel like like what am I doing? I just need to give up and quit. I've said that to myself a bunch of times, and but it's one of those where I get up and I keep going. I'm too stubborn not to stop. Not to say I want to be practical. I'm always looking to sort of change and evolve, but there's something that's driving me, and I think that's the journey for myself, is just trying to figure out what that is, and just follow that gut.
Yeah.
So
follow your gut. That's where we'll stop it right there.
All right.
All right, Quantal, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, man, you can find me different little channels there. If you want to check me out on Instagram, I'm at Quantal Langford. So it's QuantalLangford.
All one word.
Yep, all one word. Just search me out. Or you can find, if you want to check out Just Heart, it's at Just Heart Apparel. Or you can check out the podcast at The Creative Brew TV, or my graphic design studio at the Langford Studio. So check them out, like it, share it, and if you got any kind of questions or concerns about if you're trying to trying to get started in your creative career, or you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I what's my purpose? Hey, shoot me a DM. I talk to all kinds of people. Not to say I'm not gonna have all the answers, but I think I could put you in the right direction, or maybe give you a different perspective, and that's what I'm here for.
Yes, Quantal, thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you.
That was a great conversation. Fuck yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Peace.